While posting about something else, I made a comment that born in a Western country founded on Christian principles. That really wasn't my point, but since you brought it up, let's look at it. I don't know what's being taught today. It seems to me that everything is being turned around. What was good is bad. What was bad is good. Like we look at the founding fathers and we say, oh, they are evil people. They're flawed people, and as my son observed, anyone who reaches a high level in government, and in the case of our founding fathers, people who had the intelligence and the aptitude to found a nation, those kinds of people have probably done something in their past they hadn't ought. Any of them, all of them. But as Mark Antony points out in Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, the evil that men do lives after them. The good is oft interred with their bones. How many times on TikTok have I brought in a reference for something I was saying, a qualified reference, and then someone else looked at that person's past and said, oh, but that person did such and such. Something that, yes, was bad, but it really didn't relate to their credibility in the field to which I was referring. But I would say today the media has taught us that, and we vote for people the media has taught us to like, and don't vote for the people the media has taught us not to like, regardless of their qualifications or their inclination on how they would govern. So was this founded as a Christian nation? Let's see who founded it. They were people from the West, and the West was Christian. Of course, they didn't always act like they were Christians. They didn't always faithfully represent Jesus, just as Christian leaders and Christians in this country today do not always faithfully represent Jesus and sometimes do very evil things. But by saying this was founded as a Christian nation, I'm saying these people were of a Christian heritage, and they came here with the intention to worship God freely as they chose. Look at this. They were not Islam. They were not Buddhist. They were not atheist. I mean, look at the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. A couple decades ago, some newscasters were quoting this on the news around the 4th of July as something that was patriotic, and they got to that point and they said, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed with certain unalienable rights. And I went, what? They left out by our Creator. That isn't how the document is written, and you know and I know that they knew that, and that was intentional. That was trying to take God out of what our founding fathers put in. Okay, the founding fathers weren't atheists, they weren't Islam, they weren't Buddhist, they weren't even Jews. So what were they? They were Christian. So if they came from a Christian country, why come to another country for religious freedom? Yes, where they came from, there were state churches, and you must belong to the state church. That was, by requirement, your religion. And yes, it was a Christian religion, but there was no freedom within it. Let me give you a personal example. My wife's great-great-uncle was F.O. Nilsson, and he was a Swede. Seems to me in the back of my mind, I'm thinking he was the first converted Baptist who was baptized in Sweden. For this, he was imprisoned and banished from Sweden. In 1851, he and his wife left Sweden and went to Denmark. Then in 1853, came to America. So then we have the Bill of Rights, and the first one being the Establishment Clause. Congress shall establish no religions or prohibit the free exercise thereof. The whole Establishment Clause is about restricting the government. And the point is, we don't want a government religion. We don't want the situation that F.O. Nilsson had in Sweden, where if you're going to be a Christian, this is how you're going to do it. It says Congress needs to stay out of the business of religion. And this was all established within a Christian context. And the reason it didn't say this is a Christian country in the founding documents is because that was understood. Those were the people who founded the country. That was all built into their worldview. Yeah, Grandpa, you need a nap. Fine, ignore it. Believe what somebody else tells you. It is what it is.